Welcome to Wit Happens. I am Carla Rea. What an appropriate name for a show, because I am lucky enough to be doing truly one of my first shows with I'm going to say the iconic Alice
Okay, go
Whitfield.
ahead. I like that.
Yeah,
I
is
will
that
not
okay?
argue. I will not argue. Nothing from me. I'm good.
That's all right.
Yes.
Alice Whitfield. So a friend of mine turned me on to you because she said, "Hey, you have to meet this woman because you know what? There's something. You two will click."
Yes.
And then of course I started looking at different things that you had done, different things you were involved in then and now, and it seems that we've gone from Hollywood to horses, and we'll get there. We'll get from there to here, but there's so much in between.
Yes, there is.
Alice Whitfield, and I want to talk about that. So Hollywood, this is where you started. I'm from what I understand, you had quite the career in Hollywood that you didn't want.
Well, actually, it's a little bit in
on
reverse.
Broadway, I should say. On
my
Broadway.
son was in Hollywood.
Yes,
and,
we'll get
he had that
to
career.
him later.
But yes, it started in New York. I was hired to write all the musical arrangements for Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris,
Impressive.
which I did.
Okay.
And after about a few months of rehearsals and giving them things that I wanted done,
Right.
they said, "You know what? I think you should write yourself into the show." There were only 3 people, and I said, "That's good, I'll do that."
What a gig, yeah.
And I did. And I don't know how much you want me to tell you about that experience, but I do have a marvelous story. Mort Schumann, who back in the 50s, with his partner Doc Pumice, wrote Save the Last Dance for Me, everything
wow.
out of the Brill Building.
Yeah, wow.
That's where they came. And Mort was kind of anti this country a little bit.
Okay.
And so he took off and left, and he went to Belgium, and he lived there. And he befriended this street singer
Right.
named Jacques Brel. And
Wow.
yeah, this is all true. Unfortunately, he has, passed. Both
Right,
of them have passed
right.
since. But so he started singing with Brel on the streets in Brussels and in Belgium. So they became tight, and Mort comes back to this country, talks to a friend of his and says, "Look, I have a great idea. Let us translate Brel's lyric
Right.
into English as closely as we can, because he was iconic, honestly."
Right.
And so they did, and they did, and then I did, and then we did. And the rehearsals for the show were at his Stanford White apartment on the West Side. Oh, God. Oh, God. Just walking into the building, the drool comes down your face.
Wow.
I'm in a Stanford White building.
what a
Went
time.
up where there were 2 apartments on each floor.
Right.
Remember,
Wow.
you asked for this.
No, I
Okay.
want this. I
Okay.
love this.
So rehearsals took place in Mort's apartment. And without exaggeration, I don't know if you're going to follow me on this, but maybe you will. You had to step over Bobby Darin. No,
Okay.
I'm
there's
serious.
Bobby, right.
And they were all on the floor. I remember Bobby Darin because that was of my era.
Right.
And so to get into his parlor. So we rehearsed every day, climb over another body. He'd had parties all night. And by the morning, he was a little bit fahargit,
Right.
And so we rehearsed there. And then I would leave. Mort Schumann's next door neighbor, there were 2 apartments on the floor, was a gentleman named Clive Barnes, who was at that time the art critic for the New York Times.
Oh, okay.
And so
I hope this has a good ending.
it has a second good ending,
Okay.
not a first good ending. And he went to Clive, with this cup of sugar.
Right.
"Clive, listen, my show is opening off Broadway. I'd love you to review it." He goes, "When is it, Mort?" Tells him, he goes, "I'm doing the ballet that night, but I'm going to send somebody else." Go, "Okay, fine, thank you so much." Fade in, fade out. The worst review that you could ever get. I mean, you couldn't, he had words that even I didn't get.
Wow.
And I said to myself, oh, well, that was fun. And so the producers were so completely convinced that it needed time to digest.
Okay.
That at the end of each show, closing notices, according to equity, closing notices have to be posted.
Right.
And so the producers stood handing out money to the people who were in the show. Every week you got your pay from the pockets of the producers for the first 6 months. Mort goes next door. Clive, you got to help me out here. He goes, Mort, here's what I'm going to do. You're not allowed to re-review a show for 6 months. You've passed 6 months. I don't know how you stayed open. I'd finish a song, and at the end of the song, the sweat.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
So
6 months.
So it was no Guys and Dolls?
No,
Is that what
darling.
you're telling me? It was
No, hardly. The King and I. Not
it was
quite.
no.
No.
Well, how long did it end up running for then? Just
They must be still. Oh, no. It ran forever.
okay.
Clive Barnes came back after 6 months, re-reviewed the show, and the rest, as they say, is hysteria.
Oh,
it ran forever. There were road companies. There were international companies.
Wow.
It just kept going and going and going.
Did you go with it?
I stayed in New York. I waited for the good reviews.
Of course.
And then finally, after about a year or so, I'm over it. And so I was asked to take the lead in Chicago. And so I went to Chicago. I did the show there. I did the morning show with Jim Conway. And then I did, do you know who he is from Chicago?
I do know who he is, yes.
We did the morning show together. And then after the Brel show at night, I went to sing at Mr. Kelly's. I'd sing jazz. Yeah.
Well, who were you in Chicago? Who did you play in Chicago?
I was at the Happy Medium Theater.
Okay.
And we did Brel.
Oh, okay.
I took over, and I left New York.
So you kept that is very.
I kept it up.
Well, so how do you? Okay, so how do you wind up doing this? How do you wind up on Broadway? Where does that start? I mean, you don't just one day you're doing this. You had to have a background. And by the way, Bobby Darin, my father knew Bobby Darin back in the day. He was also in the business and. Oh, he was so handsome.
Yeah,
he was so handsome. No, but
he's a
Look the word
guy.
up, kids, by the way.
There's a show on Broadway now, and I was saying...
yes, I saw
my
that.
husband and I were watching Sunday Morning, which we do every Sunday morning. It's a beautiful show. Hasn't been tainted too much yet. And so they were talking about the new show on Broadway, The Life of Bobby Darin, and I went, oh, my God, I've stepped over him. No. Well, that was my frame of reference, darling. That's about all I had.
Date? No, I stepped over him, but close
well,
enough.
I did.
At the time, yes.
At the time, I did. And I did. He was a lovely guy. I never knew him, but prostrate, But other than that, he was a very talented man.
But you had to come from. I mean, what else? What prior to that? I mean, what led you to Broadway?
No, nothing prior to that. But from there, from Brel in New York, I got to do a one-woman show at Carnegie Hall, and we sold out.
Man,
yes.
Okay.
It was initially it was because of the show, the name of the show. It wasn't me until after they came in.
Right.
Then it was me,
Okay.
But the audience came because of Jacques Brel. It just,
So about when was that?
1967 is when I started in Brel in New York.
Right.
And 1968, 68 and a half, I went to Chicago, 69, was there with the two other shows, and came back in 1970 and did some supper clubs. Right. And then I decided I hated the business and I wanted out.
There it is.
It is. I didn't like the pettiness. I didn't like the inhumanity. Yeah, right.
Come on.
Just a little. And we're talking about New York. The worst, next to California. Sorry.
Yes, and part of the reason, I wanted to be able to talk to you, I feel like we have, it's similar but different.
I know, I'm
paths.
Old and you're not.
No, but like I say, my father he was with an old musical group and a musical comedy team later on, and all of these names, I know all of these names, and if I'm not mistaken, you did something with somebody that my dad used to like and talk about, and his name was Ralph Flanagan. Am I right about that? Right? Yes. Yeah. Again, kids, use the Google box and look him up. Yes.
Be careful what you do in your youth. It comes back to get you later. Yes.
How?
If I tell you, you promise not to hold it against
No,
me.
I will. Nobody.
I was
no.
about, just before I met David. I was just about 15, 14 and a half. And I was always a singer. I have perfect pitch. My parents did not foster it because back in that day, it was about your education.
Right.
Show business was like, you didn't do that in
Right.
the 50s in Brooklyn, being Jewish. You just didn't do that.
yeah,
Education.
okay.
And so my cousin, Myra, big, black, tiny, she was like this, black hair in a bun, sunglasses. Alice, you have to do something. You sing like a bird and you have to do something. But first, you have to join the union.
Ah, yes.
I said, okay. Do you play anything? I said, well, I play the piano. No. Come on. The maracas, right? Sure. And I learned to play one mean set of maracas.
Really?
To this
Really?
day. And she dragged me down to 802, which was the union.
Right.
She plays maracas. Give her a card. Swear to God. And I got a card. I go home, and she says, Bertie, my mother. My mother was British.
Okay.
And her name was Bertie.
Bertie, I love that.
Yep. And she says, Bertie. Well, Myra was Jewish from New York. I gotta get this girl going. You're gonna get a call soon. We were all in my apartment in Brooklyn. My mom, my dad, my brother,
Right.
myself. The phone rings. My brother picks it up. Didn't like me. Hello? Who? Okay, yeah, who's calling? Yeah, right. And hangs up the phone.
Really?
My mother said, Michael, who was that? Oh, some guy. He said he was Ralph Flanagan. My mother almost... So
Yeah.
she said, Michael, if the phone rings again, don't answer. And so it did ring again. And I went down to the Wellington Hotel in Manhattan.
Right.
And my mother came with me. And I was given some index cards. Do you know any of these songs? I said, I know every one of them.
Wow.
And I auditioned for, Ralph sat at the piano and played. He said, which one of those do you want? I said, I'll take this. And it was a song called Supposin' I Would Fall in Love with You. Would you tell me that you love me too?
I love it.
I didn't know that
Right.
then. And he said, okay, you're hired. And a week later, I was with 28 men on a bus. My mother let me go.
Wow. At 15?
50, yes. These
Wow.
many. Yes.
Okay.
And I began singing with the Ralph Flanagan Orchestra.
That's really cool.
And my
actually.
name...
That
I'm
is.
what?
That's cool.
Yes, it was cool, but I didn't know that.
Right.
I just knew he
At
had
that
this
time-
song, Hot Toddy. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that
I'm going to
song.
give you just the
No,
first
I
line.
don't.
You're going to say, oh,
I
my
know-
God.
I know Salt Peanuts.
Ba-ba-da-da, ba-ba-ba-da-da, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba.
Okay.
And the trombones would
That's-
stand
yeah.
up like this. That was his song, and he had written it, and it was his trademark. So when he came out on stage, they'd play,
That's
brass
yeah.
would get up, and it's very impressive. I love when brass
So
stands
do
up.
I.
I'm sorry.
So do I. No, it's funny you say that because you said that was his song. Big band leaders at the
Yeah.
time, they all had their theme,
Yeah,
right? Their
yes.
theme song, right?
That
what
was
was
his.
Glenn Millard's? Was his String of Pearls, I think? Was it String of Pearls?
Might have been.
Or was it? Yeah. And Benny Goodman. And they all had their theme song.
Sure.
So
I mean, that was their
Ralph's.
thing,
Yes, yeah, that's really cool.
And I worked with him for quite a while, telling no one. My parents refused to allow me to say a word.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, was that unconventional?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Bad parents. You're letting your 15-year-old daughter out with 48 men.
I think it's
And you just do that. Yes.
Well, because, my mother was, God love her, one of the original Banger sisters, I think. She loved the big band guys. She loved
God.
them.
Yes.
And that was how she met, my father. He, of course, played in a band. But
That's so cool.
to have that... I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty cool. That's some history. I love
yeah,
that.
it is, but today, nobody knows Ralph Flanagan.
I
What
know,
is that, a
nobody knows.
drink? No,
Yes,
it's
yes,
not a
that's
drink.
right.
Right? It's a cuts on his drink.
Yes, it's Ralph and Harvey
Yes,
Wallbanger.
yes.
They were two friends.
Yes,
and
they
came-
were.
So
Let's stop because I'm going to start laughing.
no,
and I-
it's okay.
know.
You can laugh. That's okay. So that was all in the past
Yes.
for you. Did you reach a point where you said, you don't? I mean, you didn't enjoy it. Is that what it came down to?
You're being nice.
Okay, you loathed it.
I detested
You despise.
it.
Okay, got it.
Detested it.
Do you still? I mean, you sang. You have an amazing voice, by the way.
Okay.
And
yeah.
well, I mean, come on.
It is.
Come on.
No, you know what it is? It's the material. But
Well,
we'll
that's
get to,
true.
you
Okay.
know,
All right.
You're only as good as your material. I don't care.
I
So,
hear that.
you know.
That's why I write on my own, Alice.
God
That's why I
bless.
write on my
Yeah.
own.
Well, that's what I did the other night. I had written an off-Broadway
Yeah.
show, and rather than go into the whole thing, I wound up at the composer's box. Is that
Yes, over at the Smith
because
Center.
I had written, many songs, but this one particular one, I said, okay, what the hell? And I wound up there through a Tyler Williams, who's a bassist,
Mm-hmm.
who I hired locally because I'm bringing my musicians in from New York
Yeah.
for my concert.
Okay.
But at least I had one local, and he got to the song, and he said, oh my God, who wrote this? I said, I did. He said, no, you
Nice.
didn't. I said, yes, I did. He said, wait a minute. And he went and he called over to the head guy over
Right.
and he said, you've got to bring her in. No, it's a week from Tuesday, yes, or Wednesday, she'll be there. Where will I be? And I performed over there.
So, did you have time to rehearse? I mean, was this just?
We had one.
What is this? I just showed up and I had my bass player.
Well,
and I
got one rehearsal.
Okay.
Keith Thompson, Thomas made sure I got one rehearsal.
Okay.
And I went on that night and I performed the song. And it's hilarious, and it's in my concert. So
See, so it's still in your blood, isn't it?
yes, of course,
it's still
it
in your
is.
blood.
On my terms, yes.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. That's for sure.
I just want to stay away from all the little.
I
know, all that
I
stuff.
know. The
It's not my
entertainment
thing.
business is not.
No,
yes,
it's not.
Yeah.
My
yeah.
son felt the same way.
Well, and we do have to, if you don't mind, can we talk about your son?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, I would imagine you're fairly proud of him.
Yeah, we have a unique relationship.
Okay,
He calls
okay.
me Alice, and
Okay.
his children call me Alice, and that's the way it is.
See,
Yes.
I knew that he was that guy. If you're wondering
What?
who your son is, Mitchell, right? Mitchell Whitfield.
Yes. Mitchell, yeah.
And he did a few things.
Oh, yeah, he did a number of things. My cousin Vinny.
Mm-hmm.
He was a regular on Friends.
Yes, Barry.
Barry the orthodontist.
So annoying.
Yeah,
But go on.
I know. Please don't
So
even
annoying.
go there.
I know.
He's done a lot of movies.
He really has. Yeah.
And now his career is so big, it has nothing to do with movies. Mitchell is on the A-list of Disney voices. He does all the animated ones for children's shows.
That's so
Dora the
cool.
Explorer, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I can go down there like 50 or 60 that he voices and sings.
That's
It's
amazing.
Yeah. And so he does it out of his home.
Barry the
in LA.
orthodontist.
Yes, my
I know
God.
everybody knows that one.
I know.
Does he know? I mean, he knows of your career, yes.
Oh, he was there.
And
I
was
had
he there when you were? Yeah.
I was a single parent.
Ah, so you were.
And I said, let's go, but I have homework. You'll take it. And he would take the homework, and he'd sit in the village gate. God bless Art DeLugoff. He never put the heat on. He was such a cheap person. So he never put the heat on, and Mitchell would sit with his coat that had the fake fur with
Right.
the hood and a flashlight and do his homework. And
Okay.
that's what you got to do.
That's
I couldn't get a
great.
babysitter. I had no money.
I love that. Did he enjoy that? Does he have good memories of that?
Every last memory. He was
That's-
like a kid adult.
That's cool. I think when you grow up, around that, for as long or short as you did it, there is some. I used to like hanging out with the adults.
Yes,
a lot
that was
more than the kids.
Of course,
Yeah.
that's exactly what he did. My son was
Yeah.
crossing Fifth Avenue at 6
Yeah,
and
see,
taking the
especially-
BMT at 7.
Especially
His
in New York.
children have never been out alone. Now they are.
Yeah.
They're finishing college. It's
Right.
time. But that was the end of a generation. He went to
Yeah.
performing arts,
Yeah.
and then he went to Colgate University on a scholarship and left. But his children, no. Have to
Yeah.
be driven, taken, don't walk here,
We're very-
don't go.
we're
Never
very
went to
delicate.
summer camp. What? I said, oh my God.
I was just talking to
please.
somebody about that. We're very delicate. Children are very delicate.
please.
Somebody said something about my on-air partner. Mike said, "Don't kids go to summer camp anymore?" I said, "Well, yeah, but I mean, you drop them off in the morning and then you pick them
No,
up."
that's day camp.
Yes, exactly. I
In
said,
the
"You're not.
summer.
What are you going to
But
send your
that's-
kids away with a suitcase for a week or
A
two?"
trunk
which we did.
for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
And my son went to
Wow.
sleepaway camp from the age of 4.5 and for 10 years. And the first year he went, I was like this, right?
Well, yeah.
But I said,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to go up. I'm going to drive up. I'll really surprise him and visit so he'll know, because I never heard from him. So
Is that when he started calling you Alice?
No, he always called me Alice. So I go up to camp and I go to the office. I said, could you please page Mitchell Whitfield, please come to the office? And they said, oh, okay. Mitchell Whitfield, attention, please. They blow to see if the mic is on. Attention, please, attention, please. Mitchell Whitfield, please come to the office. That's exact. And I'm waiting. All of a sudden, this thing with a towel around his neck comes walking up. I go, Mitchell! He goes, you interrupted me in the middle of selective activity.
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
Hi. It was so horrifying to me. You think I beat him or something?
Yeah, no kidding.
No. He got right into it. He was there.
Okay.
And 10 years of that
That's good.
builds character.
That's good.
So
I love
yes,
that.
oh my God, I'll never forget it. He remembers all of this, all of it.
That's
And I wouldn't
great.
have it any other way.
I love that
Yes.
story.
And he's the
I do.
nicest guy.
Well, I would hope so. I
He's
would
the
hope so.
nicest
I would
guy.
hope so.
Oh
Is
my
he?
God.
Do you have grandchildren? Is he married?
He has a
Married, he has-
gorgeous wife, and he
Okay.
has 2 children.
Okay.
And yes, he has 2 children. They have 2
Right.
children.
Okay. Are you Grandma
Well-
Alice, or are you just Alice, or are you just no Grandma? No. Gma? No. I know. Look at the.
Don't do it. No, it's Alice. Yeah, don't do that. That's going to be the
love
worst
that.
for me. Yeah.
Do they want to do anything with
No.
the art?
No.
Okay. I'll call it the arts. How
No.
about that? No. Okay.
Nothing.
Go-
They're
so
beautiful kids that have
Good.
been
good.
molded and out of both parents. They're great kids. No
love to
drugs.
hear that.
My son served Coca-Cola at his wedding. He doesn't drink, doesn't
Okay.
smoke, nothing.
He really is Barry, isn't he?
Yes, he really
is
is.
Barry. Wow.
Sorry, Mitchell. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yes.
it's funny because of, I think about now, what you did with some pretty big people back in the day, your
Mm-hmm.
son as well. He worked with some pretty amazing people along the way with Joe
Yeah.
Pesci, but the cast of Friends, Jennifer Grey.
But I'm talking about bigger than that. Yeah,
But
no,
I mean,
he
he was, that was what now, 30
In the
years
90s?
ago, right? Yeah.
I don't know. Something like that. He was 20 some odd years old.
God.
They made
Wow.
him. It was his second, Vinny was his 3rd movie. His first movie was with Glenn Close and Jeremy Irons, and it was the Klaus von Bülow story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was in
Oh,
that.
gosh.
He played one of the attorney's underlings in
Right,
law school.
right.
And then he went on to do a very, very unusual movie called Dogfight.
Oh, a great movie.
Fabulous
Lily Taylor.
movie.
Oh my God,
Lily
watch
Taylor.
the movie.
Mitchell was this big, you wouldn't recognize him.
yeah. Oh,
he
one of
played
the-
one of the bees, and
One of
he
the
gets
best
blown
movies.
up at the end. People don't realize.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a sleeper movie, I told you.
If anybody out there who has, I don't know.
I think you can-
self-esteem issues. Anybody who has a family member who went through the Vietnam
Yeah.
War, any of our wars or conflicts, it is one of the best movies. It's
And
truly
Lily
on my
Taylor
top.
was, she was amazing.
I think she's
And the
so
gal who directed it was over the top. She then cast Lily Taylor in Mystic Pizza.
Yeah,
I think.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Julia
right.
Roberts' first big
Yes,
movie, yeah.
exactly. So Mitchell had to
Wow.
gain 50, 40 pounds for the
Wow.
movie, and he did. And while he was on the set filming, he gets a call from his agent that he has a callback for this new movie by Jonathan Lynn, My Cousin Vinny, and he's up against, who was the actor who was the African-American actor who had his own series, Will Smith.
Will Smith?
Will Smith.
Okay.
So when he came off,
wow,
he was like this. He goes there, and there's Will Smith, and there's Mitchell.
Yeah, oh no.
Both competing for the same role. And I'm saying, okay. And he went in and he said, look, if they want Will Smith, screw it. I'm not,
Yeah.
But he did the audition, and the same day they called him. You got the part. You have to lose 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
he was a rail in that.
He was like
a rail, yes.
Yeah. So they put him on a diet. They brought a chef on the set, and he ate whatever they gave him, and he got down to this. And I came out to California. He had finished the movie, and he was still thin. And he was in an apartment, and the apartment manager said, oh, you're Mitchell's mother, right? Yes. Yes, I am. He goes, is he okay?
He's
I
lost
said,
a
he's
lot of
great.
weight.
No.
Is that it?
The time was AIDS.
Oh,
So he said,
yeah.
is he
yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
I said, he's fine. What do you mean? He's just had to lose weight for the... Oh, it's not AIDS, right? No, it's
No,
not.
It was so prevalent, at the time.
Of course it was. That was the first thing on everybody's, oh no,
man.
you don't look good. You must have AIDS,
Gosh.
So, yeah. But
Did you ever try to talk him out of the business?
you want the real story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
I
do.
I was dating and you never date an actor. I was dating an actor, and he was doing a production of, what's the name of the movie with, crud. Oh, yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't.
yeah,
yes, it was a wonderful movie with Jason Robards and this young kid.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was playing the Jason Robards part.
Okay.
And he said to me, do you think Mitchell could, because Mitchell played the ukulele and the guitar as I do. So Mitchell plays the uke, right? Could he audition for this? I said, okay, fine. So Mitchell goes and auditions. He comes home and I give him the speech. Mitchell, this is show business. It's not show art. Whether you think you're wonderful or not, they may think you have one hair out of place.
Right,
You can't get the part. I said, so don't count on any, I was emphatic. I said, it's all BS. Okay, I don't care. And the phone rings.
Yeah.
Is Mitchell there, please? Sure. Oh, thank you. Hang up. I got it, Mom.
It was his Ralph Flanagan, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was his Ralph Flanagan.
That's exactly right.
Oh, my gosh. Could you imagine doing, first of all, you were 15.
Yes.
Doing what you were doing then now.
No.
With social media, you were just saying that, with any little hair out of place, everything is recorded, everything is scrutinized in a way that is unimaginable.
There's some good. There's some good. I'm not going to...
Absolutely there is. Absolutely there is.
For the most part,
I
can't imagine.
I get the impression that Mitchell didn't really care.
No.
He didn't really care. He was going to do what he wanted to do, and he was going to take the parts that he wanted to take. And you know, consequently, it worked out really well for him.
It did,
so
extremely well, and I never said a word. When he came back from Colgate after he spent a year in Taiwan, when Nixon, with the ban on China, so Mitchell was one of 18, I think, college students that were picked to live in Taipei for a semester, and the prerequisite was that he had to speak Mandarin. So he learned and he spoke Mandarin. So he went to live there, and when he came back, we were walking through the supermarket. He said, I think I could do show business. I said, really? Well, good luck to you. I said, I'll tell you one thing. I'm never going to stop you. You're here on a scholarship at Colgate. Great. You want to leave? Terrific. I will not help you one bit.
Okay. All right.
He said, okay, no problem. I said, I can't do that. If you're going to make it, it's not going to be because, Alice Whitfield said, baloney.
Get that.
And a week later, he had an agent. And a week after that, he had a manager. And the rest you know.
Hey, you learned to play the maracas, so
That's
he could
right.
do-
Thank you,
he could
Myra.
do-
Yep.
I know. I love these names that you mentioned, Myra and Mort.
Mort
Right?
Schumann.
And yes, I love all these names from the past that
Yes,
you just
they
don't
are.
hear. You don't hear anymore.
No, you don't.
My dad had an agent, his name was Mort, and I just remember when he said Mort Green was his name, and he was a pretty big agent back in the day, but the name Mort always sticks out with me. If you're a Bob's Burgers fan, that's the only way you know Mort. Let's fast forward.
Okay, I'm happy to do so.
Well, because you are, I don't even want to say involved, you are really embedded
Yeah,
in Hearts Alive
very
Village.
much. Very much. Yes.
And we're not just talking, dogs and cats.
No.
We're talking equine. We're
Yes,
we're talking large animals.
The big guys.
Yes.
Yes.
How?
Okay.
How on earth? I mean, first of all, we'll get into it, but I mean, you're caring for, you're supporting. You're spending time with these animals that have really, I from what I see, have become family
Yes, totally.
to you.
Yes.
How did you get involved in that?
Are you
Horses are a
sure?
big undertaking.
Are you sure you want to know?
I do. Do I not?
Do you have the rest of today is what I'm asking.
All right, give me the Reader's Digest.
Okay.
Again, look it up, kids.
Right, okay.
Short version.
Okay, the short version is, back in 1957, I was in my senior year of junior high school, fell in love with a boy named David, and we were together throughout high school, and in our senior year of high school, we were walking back in Brooklyn on Ocean Avenue with a bag of Chinese food to eat with my parents. He stopped in the middle of the street and he said, my father thinks it's best that we break up. It might interfere with my college.
Oh, well.
I said that too.
Yeah.
I said, oh. And I took the damn bag of Chinese food and I went home and I never got over it.
Got the food.
And I'm going to cut completely to the chase.
Okay.
He broke up with me in 1960. 1982, I started becoming kind of interested. I never forgot him. Carried our picture in my wallet.
Oh, wow.
And I dated. Come on,
of course.
I wasn't sitting home.
I know, you
But
hussy.
it was always there. It was always there. And so in 1982, I had opened up a production company for radio and television commercials. One of my employees said, if I hear the name David Hammer, one more time, I'm going to barf. Here is my Christmas gift to you, an hour with an investigator. See if you can find him.
Oh, wow.
So, it's a
Wow.
not a wow.
Oh, okay.
It's a wah, because it's only halfway. I immediately called the investigator, gave him all the information that I had, called me back in an hour. Lives in Wantor. His wife is a nurse, and they have 2 children. Okay.
His what? His wife?
His wife is a nurse. Didn't make me feel good, but I had the phone number.
Yeah.
So I called, and I got a woman on the phone. I'm going, this is not going to be good, but I'll be so nice.
Right.
Hi. I said, I'm Alice Whitfield, and I was a friend of your husband. Oh, my husband, yes, what? I'm going, how do you get out of this now? David Hammer? Oh, you want to speak to David Hammer? Well, he's with his new wife in the UK.
Oh.
Bam.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
I think
David got around, huh? Gee,
well, he wasn't
wow.
in the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, hold on.
No,
hold
that's
on.
okay.
Hold on. Was he looking
No.
for... No?
I was looking, not the internet.
Yeah.
Computers just started.
Right.
Anyway, turns out he was in Taiwan.
Oh.
I didn't know,
Wow.
but I got somebody to help me when I found out where I could reach him. I got somebody to help me, and I did. And I sent him, if the name Alice Berman means anything to you, if you're the David Hammer of 2620 Avenue J in Brooklyn, and your sister's name is Saralyn, here's my email.
Wow. Wow. There's a
And,
guy watching us, by the way, he seems very embarrassed listening to this story.
No, he doesn't.
But
No, he's not. He knows me. You can embarrass? No. The last thing he'd be. Within 10 minutes, I got an email.
Wow.
And so that was
Wow.
2013. And in 2017, we were married.
Oh, man, I love that.
And I knew nothing about him. He had built a 1 million square foot factory where they would be building factory furniture and
Okay.
iPad covers and name it.
Okay.
He was doing that.
Okay, I thought you were going to tell me he was working for the mob and,
No, that's another
side.
story. We're not going to go there because my son used to run money for my please. Julie LaRosa was one of my best friends.
Really? As in,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
Julie LaRosa, you said?
Julius
or
LaRosa.
Julius LaRosa,
Yeah.
the singer. Okay,
Yes.
all right. The Julius LaRosa.
Yes. And I was very, very tight with downtown
Wow.
with
Yeah.
the mob.
Yeah.
And they used to say, Mitchell, come here. So they'd say, Mitchell, go with Jakey. And he was about 11. I used to go down there to see all my friends. And he said, here, take this. Go down the block. They'll take it from you. Just walk. He goes, okay. And Mitchell down the block gave the money. And that.
There you go.
So we had a lot of friends.
Wow.
I'm not ashamed of that. I love it.
We're going to go on with that, but you'll appreciate this. So, well, this is not regular TV. So one of my dad's first gigs, he was a piano player. And he was probably 17, and he was playing in a strip club. And he said, how do you want me to introduce you to a lady that was coming on? They'd have to get it, and he would write it down. And she's... Oh, I can't say this I don't think, but she said, my name's Reba Red. And he said, okay, Reba Red. And she said, Reba Red with a to match. So he said, okay, Reba Red with a to match. And he played it on, and ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Reba Red with a to match. And he basically would play that, but then a big mobster owned the club, and they would make the money and just toss it in the back. But it was the best. He said it was one of the best gigs I ever had. I was on my own. I was making like $10 a night. It was amazing.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm just, when you mentioned Julius LaRosa and the mob.
Absolutely am so pro mob. You have no idea.
Same.
I have
Italian,
Meyer
I have to
Lansky
be.
stories.
Oh wow! Well, yes.
No, we're not going to go there.
No, but you know that
Yes.
know you know that he has family,
Yes,
of
I
course,
do.
right here.
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
So go on. You finally hunt down this fabulous man.
Yes, and we did get married, and he left Taiwan, and we lived in Hawaii, and then I couldn't stand it in Hawaii, and we moved back to Vegas, where I had been since '99. I moved here in '99 and taught at the university, and then taught voiceovers here. So he said one day we were sitting, he said, what do you think? What's on your bucket list? I said, animals. Dogs.
I love it.
Animals, horses, animals. He said, okay, let's find a 501c and see if we can support them. My husband, David, is the most incredible philanthropist ever. We could spend the next couple of days
Yeah, there aren't
on
enough
what
of
he
them.
had. No, there aren't.
No,
And the charities that he supports are so unbelievable. They're not your typical here, they're for the
Right,
No,
right.
he takes it further back than that. It's not here's for cancer, go pay.
Right.
No, his group now in Israel are testing a new, is it a chip? They call it cancer on a chip. And what they're doing is implanting looks like a metal or steel little pill capsule inside. When it gets inside, it opens up and just attacks that form of cancer. This is the research that's going on. Is it the University of...
Not here.
Which university?
Not here.
Hebrew University, isn't it? In Israel. So, I
Wow.
mean, so it's not putting in the money just for that. He supports and almost started a charity in Taiwan for wheelchair tennis. These Taiwanese who are paralyzed from the waist down and live their lives in a wheelchair. He built them tennis courts and ways to be lifted so they can go sky riding. David supports that charity. I believe he started it. So It goes on and on. So
Impressive. Maybe I need to talk to to David at some point as well. I'm thinking, huh?
Well,
he's the quiet one, right?
he's
You're the
always-
quiet one, aren't you?
come on, how can you get a word in here,
It
please?
happens. Yes, I know.
Between the
I
two
know.
of us,
Yeah,
come on.
that's true.
You know.
That's true.
So-
Is that how is he the one who
Yes.
got you? He is.
Well, he got Hearts Alive Village on their feet. That
Uh-huh.
was Christy Stevens. She was operating 2 little stores in a strip mall. Today, she has an entire veterinarian clinic on Decatur, fully staffed,
Wow.
about to open a second across the way in Henderson for high-volume spay-neuter and forensics
That's
to
great.
get the
Wow.
bastards, pardon me, who
yeah.
have abused animals.
Yeah.
And so that's what she's into now, huge. And so David said, okay, our work is done. What would you like to do next? I said, horses.
I'm going to go bigger.
Yeah, horses.
Wow.
And so about 5 years ago, David bought 15 acres and a house. And we brought in 2 of the best people who we met in Hawaii, who used to have horses and were very knowledgeable from Hawaii, and brought them. We said, would you be interested in running? Yes. That's how it happened. We didn't even get the words out. Yes.
That's great.
And they were on a plane. I did the whole house, made it gorgeous. And about a week later on dirt, somebody came up with 4 goats, 2 dogs, and a horse, and said, the horse weighed 330 pounds.
Ooh, that's okay.
Abused and neglected
that's
and
not a
left
lot
to
for a
rot.
horse. Yeah.
No, an average horse is 1,000
Right?
pounds.
Yeah.
And Sharon said, sure.
Wow.
We had nothing. They walked up to our dirt. We had nothing else.
Oh, my gosh.
They built little refuge places
Yeah.
and kept them. They still have the dogs, still have the goats. And the horse is Annie.
Oh, okay.
And Annie is our mascot. She's about 1,100 pounds
Annie's
today.
in the pictures. Annie's in the promo pictures. Yes.
She's in everything.
Yes.
And so that's how that started.
That's amazing.
And because people would love to keep their horses, sometimes they age out of the system.
Right.
Sometimes family problems, sometimes financial.
Sure.
And they don't, what are you going to do? How do you give the horse away?
Right.
So we opened up our doors to everybody and began to, we have race horses, retired race horses, we have quarter horses, we have we saved 4 mares from a kill pen only to find out that 2 were pregnant.
Oh, man.
And so we have a nursery now and waiting for the babies to be born.
Oh.
And
Oh,
it's,
my
yeah.
gosh.
And
Do you ride?
Yes.
You do. Okay, I was just going to, and
My
I'm
God.
assuming you shovel, too. You got to.
I have my own
do
horses.
the-
We have our own horses. I shovel.
Okay.
Umberto shovels.
Okay.
We
have the
all
whole thing
shovel.
here.
Right. Yes,
Oh, my
of course.
gosh.
So once
Wow.
we were on our way, now we have 44
Whoa.
horses
Wow.
and more acreage. And we are about to break ground. Please, God, listen to this. Never in Las Vegas have we had a rehab and therapy center for equines.
Oh, my.
You
Wow.
had to take your horse, pack them in.
Yeah.
You pack, because you have to stay at a hotel, and drive out of state, Colorado, Utah,
Oh, man.
you name it, and stay at a hotel while your horses are being rehabbed and refurbished.
Right, yeah,
And then you
yeah.
have to take them back.
Yeah,
we
we
the
don't have large
bills
animal.
off the charts, your hotel, your maintenance for the time that you're there waiting for your horse. This is horse country here.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
people who have horses in their backyards.
Sure. Not that far out of town either. I have some
No,
friends
dear,
who
North
live in
Las
those
Vegas,
areas.
they're right there.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Why do you have to do that? So David said, let's build one. And we're building a state-of-the-art with underwater
Oh my gosh.
treadmills, with light therapy, with laser therapy, everything you can right here.
Wow.
You wind up saving money because you're not leaving.
That's exactly it.
And that's why
exactly
I came
it.
out of retirement.
That is amazing. You have had
Yeah.
you've had a few lives.
Yeah,
Really.
so have you.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
I'm getting there. That's another whole show. But
not gonna say a word.
No, but you have truly, if you're wondering, by the way, And I can say it because, it's there. That's why it's there. As you drive to Mount Charleston, you see this facility that really is beautiful.
Thank
It really is.
It is. It's like the Fontainebleau. It's gorgeous.
Yes, it's like the Fontainebleau.
Seriously, it's hot and cold showers. Where do you find that?
Oh my
no
gosh.
place.
No.
The barns are gorgeous. They're immaculate. There's not one poo-poo piece anywhere. I'm not kidding.
Wow, no, that is amazing.
It's gorgeous.
I
And-
love the passion that you found for that.
Well, it came from my passion
And
from 1957 and
guess.
the Chinese food.
He brought a whole lot. Yeah, he brought a whole lot into this, didn't
Yes,
he?
he did.
He left. Well, you got the food out of it originally.
Well,
So
yes, at least
he
I got
wasn't-
the
He
Chinese
wasn't that
food.
bad, right?
No. Yes,
Poor
it
David.
was.
Poor David.
Yeah.
Do I have to take this all the time? But boy, look what you did.
Look how
what you
unhappy
did.
he
Yeah,
looks.
I know exactly.
So
What happens, by the way, Alice Whitfield, I am Carla Rea. Alice, you're doing a show in June
Yes.
21st
Yes,
over
I
at
am.
the Space,
yeah,
right?
I'm over at the Space LV. Yes, I am.
SpaceLV.com.
I'm taking my Carnegie Hall concert and bringing
You
it.
are?
Yes, I am. Same material, Braille, and unusual material, and a lot of wonderful stories.
Will you be playing the maracas?
No, but I will be playing the uke.
Okay,
Ha-ha.
all right, okay,
Yes.
fine, whatever.
Sorry, Myra. You know.
What else do you play? You play piano, yeah?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going way back to the maracas in the beginning of this. Why was it the maracas? By
Because
the
it
way?
was easy to do,
Okay.
and you go chum chicka chum chicka chum chicka chum. Card, give her a card. She was the only female agent at the time. This is in the 50s,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
And
my gosh.
just a big mouth, and she was like this, little tiny little
Of course.
thing. Myra
Of course.
Kay.
Oh my gosh.
I will never forget that as long. And my name should get. Your name is now Dorianne. What? Dorianne. Dorianne. And that's how I was in. Yes, Dorianne.
Okay. Was that on your
It
that on your
the-
equity card?
It was on my
Miss
equity
Dorianne?
card with my regular name. But
Right.
Ralph Flanagan, we played a horse show in Pennsylvania, and he bought me. There was like an arts fair right near there. Somebody was doing little pins in horse head shapes.
Right. Oh my
And
gosh.
inscriptions, and it says, "To Dorianne, love from Ralph Flanagan."
Oh my gosh.
And it was stolen from me.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We need to
It
replicate
happens,
that somehow.
you
We need to
know,
replicate
but
that somehow.
I'll never forget it. And it was in a little pink satin jewelry box that I had.
Right.
And I had it put away. And one day I opened it, and it was totally empty, including my little, you know.
We
but
got
that
to replicate that. We really do.
Someday I will think about doing that. Yeah.
Gosh, you know what, Alice? What do I want to get this right? Unconcert,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
Unconcert.
It's the unconcert.
At the Space.
Yes.
Saturday, June 21st,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Unconcert.com or thespacelv.com.
Yeah, they're both .com.
Yeah, get your tickets. Go see this fabulous woman because you are absolutely fabulous. I have to
Thank
tell you,
you
my
so
friend
much.
Stacey Escalante, who's sitting out there.
She's my friend, too.
She's awesome.
Yes, she
She's
is.
awesome. We could probably just trade stories on Stacey.
I would love
but-
to,
yeah.
anytime. I'm
Well-
sorry.
Well, no, yes,
Not
we
the
could.
bad stuff.
No,
Only good.
no. Oh, there is no bad stuff.
Tell
please.
me about it. I hate people like that.
Yes.
Goody
Well,
two-shoes.
yeah, I know. No,
Please.
not Stacey. No. She told me though a while ago. She had mentioned you to me, and it's been, it's probably been a couple months, and then this opportunity came up, and she said, would you want to talk to Alice? I said, yes, I would love to talk to Alice, but I'd like to have some time. Because I truly feel like you and I were separated at birth somewhere
do
along the
too.
way. I really
I
do. Yes. So I am just so glad that I had this opportunity to sit down with you. And I know there are probably at least a 500,000 other stories.
Yeah, sure.
Will there ever be a book, do you think?
I've written 2.
Okay.
But all of them are instructional.
Okay.
I wanted to write a children's book, remember? I'm not really a big children fan.
Yeah, I don't like him
Okay.
either. I mean, forgive
Thank
me,
you.
but yeah, I
Forgive
don't
me.
care
I'm not
for
a
them.
child person.
used-
Okay? I know we're going to get picketed. We're going to be in
I know.
trouble.
It doesn't mean
You know?
we didn't. I didn't
They're
have
lovely.
any, okay?
I had one.
You
but
did, yes.
But he was more like
An
a
adult,
mentor,
a little
friend.
adult.
And we,
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and so it was Alice and Mitchell. And
Right.
that's how it was, you know.
See, that's good. I've always I have nieces, I have nephews, and at an early age, I learned that childbirth seems to be painful to begin with.
It
and,
hurts
yeah,
a lot.
See, if I could have
They
the
didn't
baby.
have anything. Yeah.
No, if I could just unclip it,
Yes,
that
and
would
put
have
it
been
that-
fine. But no.
The truth is, I didn't even think I wanted any. It was an accident.
You know what? But what a gem! What a gem!
Yes, it
Definitely
turned
what
out
a gem.
great. I'm not going to complain. Can I say just one thing? I know you
Absolutely.
you could take it out if you have to.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm giving you a second to
go on.
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, my new friend. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, you are a doll. You are a doll. Thank you very much.
Thank
You
you
are
for
a
everything.
beautiful being, and I thank you, and I am honored that you were able to sit down with me and that I was able to sit down with you. Thank
I'm
you.
glad I saw you.
I'm going to see more of you, and you're going to see more of me.
Thank you.
Definitely. And again, over at the Space Las Vegas Unconcert, please go and see this dear woman right here. I have a feeling it's going to be quite the night.
I hope so.
Yeah. Anywhere else? You plan on popping up anywhere else? You don't have to tell me where, but I mean, you're open to
will.
that?
I will. It's in
Okay.
the works, but I
Okay.
will.
You
Surprisingly.
didn't see, David, she didn't get it out of her system, did she? Didn't get it out of her system.
He's never
Alice
seen it.
Whitfield. I love it. The Wit, Carla Rea, thank you so much, Alice, for joining me. Thank you.